Good morning, everybody. We will give a couple more minutes for people to join us and then we will get started. All right, we will go ahead and get started. I know Jolyn has a lot that she wants to dive into today, so we will kick it off. I am Macy, and I am with the IT company, and we have been partnering with Jolyn doing webinars, training webinars for, gosh, over a year now, and we have just loved every second of it. And so we are excited for her to get to share some insight with you guys today on prompt engineering. So I'm going to hand it over to Jolyn, but before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I did email out a document that she's going to be referring to, but I also just put it in the chat. So if you didn't receive the email and you would like to access that document she's talking about, it is in the chat of for the webinar.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Macy, and welcome everyone to our session today. I am very excited to talk to you today about Microsoft Copilot 365, specifically related to the prompt engineering side. We really want to make sure that when we're using this tool, we're getting the most out of it that we can. A couple of housekeeping things that I wanted to mention. If you do have any questions along the way today, feel free to put those in the chat. We will have time at the end of the session today for some Q&A as well. And just a side note, we are recording, just so everyone knows. So let's go ahead and dive into, first off, what exactly is prompt engineering? Well, prompt engineering is about how you communicate with Copilot. I will be using Copilot 365. I have a business account, so it's a paid for version, not the free version that I'll be referring to today. So when we talk about prompt engineering, whether you're using a free version of Copilot, you're using the paid for version of Copilot, because there is, of course, different flavors, no matter which one you're using, we want to have a conversation that is going to be clear. We're going to use plain language and provide the context that is needed so that Copilot can give us the responses back without us having to continue to ask it more and more things to get it narrowed down to what it is that we want to get out of it. So we want to be thinking about the objective of what exactly are we using Copilot for? What do we really want to be getting out of it? So a couple of tips to consider. And by the way, these are going to be listed, of course, in your handout that Macy was talking about at the beginning as well. But if we take a couple of prompts, which are the chats that we do with Copilot, with the AI tool, and we kind of look at different ways of entering that chat information. If we just put in a generic prompt that basically says, write a blog post about energy efficiency in the business sector, just something very simple like that, or write a blog about improving productivity in the workplace. Whatever your prompt is, did you give it enough information? Did you tailor that prompt to really tell the system what it is that you want? So let me just give you one example. So I'm going to go into Copilot, which, by the way, I am currently using web, not work, because at the top of the window, when it has work, that's going to connect directly to my 365. And I really want it to go out to the internet and look up the information that I'm prompting it. So I'm going to put in just a basic prompt of write a blog post about energy efficiency in the business sector. If I press enter or click the go, it's going to bring back some information, but is it bringing back what it is that I really wanted? Am I clear on what it is that I asked it to give me? The context? Am I giving it specific enough information? I didn't give it a lot of detail. So let me give it to you in a different aspect, and you can see how the results would come back out. So here it's actually giving me all kinds of details, but was it really related to what my true objective was? Instead, I'm going to say, write a 600-word blog post. So I'm going to give it more detail, because otherwise it's going to do what it assumes I want it to do unless I tell it. And that's where prompt engineering comes into play. So I'm saying, write a 600-word blog post for business professionals. So I'm stating who's going to be reading this blog post about companies are advancing their operational efficiency and sustainability. And I want it to include 3 actionable strategies businesses can implement, a short section on operational and strategic benefits, a professional informative tone is what I wanted to use, and I wanted to provide a call to action, encouraging readers to explore partnership opportunities. The more you feed it, the better the result is going to be. Now, this blog that it came back with is probably going to be something that I could take, copy it, put it in a Word document or whatever application I want to put it in, put a couple of my own spins on there, say it a little bit more in my own language, and I'd be ready to go. The other one, I'd probably have to do a lot of rewriting because I really didn't give it enough information. So you really want to be thinking about the prompts that you're giving the system. So generic doesn't really cut it sometimes when we're working with Copilot. We really want to be more clear, contextual, and give it specific information. So when we stop and compare the outputs, the second option was much better. So when it comes to prompting, the order that you put things in the prompt can make a difference as well. I never really stopped and thought about that. So a couple of examples. So one of them is, write a 700-word report about how businesses are adapting remote work strategies. Use a professional tone, include 3 real-world examples, and end with a call to action for readers to learn more. And I could even say, use the attached employee engagement survey as your primary source. So we're giving it the detail. It's general at the beginning, we're giving it the details, then we're giving it the source at the end. So that would be one way that you could enter that when you're prompting. But here's another example. What if we start with the source? What if we start with the attachment, then have the general information, then include the details? So instead of having the prompt start with, write a 700-word report, instead start it with, using the attached employee engagement survey as your primary source, write a 700-word report about how businesses are adapting, include 3 world examples, use a professional tone, and end with a call to action. When we put in prompts like this, and actually, let me show you the difference. If I put it in like this first, and I'm not starting a brand new conversation, I didn't attach a file, but just to give you an idea what it's going to come back with. And then if I do this instead, let me show you. So first it was telling me that, could you please upload the file directly here? So it was telling me to upload the file, but just so you could see, if I put it in this specific order, that's the way that it's going to follow that prompt. So if I say, using this report, then give it the details, then give it my ending, it's going to come back in that specific order. So you really want to stop and think. And I still find myself, oops, I didn't mean to press enter yet, because we really want to write the prompt, go back and read through it, make sure that what we're putting into that prompt is coming back the way that the system is really going to be able to understand. So if we try both examples of these, and of course, I would encourage you to test things yourself and do different examples. Try things one way, see what you get. Give it a little bit more detail. Put it in a different order and see if it comes back in a better fashion of what it is that you truly want to get out of it. Because seriously, in the back of our minds, we have an idea of what we're expecting Copilot to do. It cannot read our minds, not as of today anyway. I swear it will be able to someday, but it does learn from us as we do different things, but it's not going to be able to really understand unless you put it into the system. We need to remember we are not talking to a human, we are talking to a machine. And that machine doesn't always know what it is that we're trying to pull out. So you really want to be stopping to think about before you press enter. Okay. So provide positive instruction. Instead of telling Copilot what not to do, give it what you really want it to do. Start with a clear action, add role and audience content, and control the format and the structure. So first, starting with a clear action, like write a 500-word article on effective project management strategies for small businesses. We could refine it to say, if the article exceeds 500 words, then divide it into 3 focus sections: planning, execution, and monitoring. We could even further refine that to be very clear on the action we wanted to take by saying, now include a concise introduction and a call to action, encouraging readers to attend an upcoming management webinar that we have coming up. So that would help to really have a clear role or a clear action of what it is we want it to do. But then if you add in the role and the audience context by saying things like summarize a Q2 financial performance report. If the summary is too technical, then write it in a simple language suitable for non-financial stakeholders. So we're basically stating the people that are going to be reading this are non-financial stakeholders. So when we're asking to summarize a Q2 financial performance report, don't write it too technical. We're basically going to say it's going to be provided to this audience. Now add a brief fact section addressing common questions about the report. So we're telling it we would like to have a fact section added to the end. When it comes to controlling the format and the structure, let it know this is going to be an email. Let it know that this is going to be a formal report. Yes, we're saying who the audience is, but give it the format that you want it to be in. Otherwise, you're going to have to do that yourself. And why use Copilot if you're going to have to manually do some things anyway? So give the instructions to Copilot. And remember, you can be talking to it. It does have a microphone, so you can actually talk to it as well. So when we talk about the control, format, and structure side of this, draft an email announcing changes to company remote work policies. If the email is longer than 3 paragraphs, then condense it into bullet points and highlight key dates at the beginning. Now add a positive tone and include a link to the detailed policy document for reference. So we're letting it know that this is going to be an email. We're letting it know that if the email is longer than 3 paragraphs, because it's an email, go ahead and put things in a bulleted list. Let it know that's how you want it formatted. So I could even be saying, use headings where appropriate, use numbered lists, whatever it is that you want it to be using, Copilot can do that. So once again, we're not having to go back. Okay. So Copilot responds best to action-oriented instructions. Tell it what to do, not what to avoid. Use if then. That logic helps guide the refinement. And don't hesitate to reiterate. Regenerate responses until you get exactly what it is you need. Sometimes we're not perfect on the first try. Sometimes we didn't remember to do something or didn't think about doing something. You can always go back and rephrase or add more detail to a prompt a second time around. Okay. But before you press enter, just like sending an email to your entire organization, you want to go back and reread things. Think about how it's structured to the system. Is it going to give me what I'm really looking for? So when it comes to this positive instruction, why this works is it's action oriented because we're telling Copilot what to do, not what to avoid. If then logic, like if it's going to be more than this, then do this. So let it know that, especially when you're doing things like in PowerPoint. Um, Sometimes it's going to generate 40 slides when you really only want 10 slides. You need to give that detail. The iteration improves clarity, tone, structure, step by step. Okay, so we want this approach to improve that clarity, that structure. Okay, now there are, of course, different types of prompts that can be used. There's informal, there's role-based types of prompts, there's format and structure type prompts, contextual, iterative, if then, and even source-based. Mix and match these to get the best result for whatever your scenario is of what you're chatting with the system about. So you want to make sure that you are stating, here's the details of what it is that I'm trying to get out of it. Here's the audience of who's going to read it or who am I going to provide this to, really letting them know. And then if this happens, do this. Okay. Tell it the format that you want to be using. You're going to get the better results. Okay. So a couple of best practices to be thinking about. What is the goal? Make sure the goal is clear. Make sure you're entering in the context. If there's any sources, make sure that you're providing those. As a matter of fact, if I have a specific report, and I just did this the other day, I needed a new report and I wanted this report to mimic the formatting from other reports. I actually attached 2 different reports that I wanted it to format my report to look like. And I told it I wanted it as a Word document. Now, I could be right in Word doing this because Copilot works the same if you're in Microsoft Word or I'm using the online app. Works the same either way. But we want to be thinking about, what exactly do we want to get out of the prompt? Making sure that it's got the goal. What is our goal? What is our objective of this prompt? So when Copilot delivers the response back, we can make sure that we're getting actionable, relevant results. Okay. I have been practicing more and more with trying to do better prompts myself. This isn't something that we know without really kind of thinking about it. So I have been really kind of slowing down because my habits before were, right off the top of my head, this is what I'm telling the prompt to do. And I'm pressing enter immediately. I have gotten myself to now slow down and say, okay, let me put this in a better order. Let me give it a little bit more detail because otherwise I found myself wasting time because then I'd have to go back and say, oh, I really wanted it this way. oh, I really wanted this instead. So try and do it better the first time around because it's going to save you a lot of time and it's frustrating. It's like, why is this system not working the way that we're expecting it to be working? So we want to make sure that we're doing things in a specific order and going to get the best result at the end. So couple of things that I want to go through with you are going to be related to clarity, context, and really kind of making sure that what it is that we are feeding the prompt is going to be effective. So, the foundation of these effective prompt engineering really is to make sure that what we are putting in there is clear. That will help us to prevent any misinterpretation of what we're trying to get it to do. That miscommunication sometimes is not only the way that we write it, but it's also the way that the system reads it. Because if we think about how Copilot actually works in the background, it's called a large language model. And it's a system that has been trained on keywords. So it's putting those keywords together, assuming based on our keywords, this is what it should provide as the answer. So we want to ensure the responses are going to fit what our business needs are of what that prompt was and really give us better, accurate, actionable output. Okay. So definitely on the clarity. But the role based, I didn't used to do this very well. I knew in my head what I was going to do with the information once Copilot generated it. But to be honest, I did not take it far enough. I used to do very short prompts. I now do longer prompts because I need to give it more context. So assigning a role to Copilot, like project manager, act as a project manager, act as an HR specialist, that's really going to help tailor the response to the right audience. This also keeps communication more professional and efficient, really helping to minimize the need for all those revisions. So if you've been going into Copilot, putting in your prompt, pressing enter, and not getting the result that you expected, think about how you wrote it. Okay, so we really want to be thinking about that clarity where we're clear on what it is we wrote. And did we put in who the audience is? Did we say what role we wanted Copilot to be playing? Then, of course, that format and structure control. Tell Copilot not just what to include, but also how to present it. Format and structure really can control the consistency and save time and really meet the branding, whatever business documents it is that you are doing. It's going to save you in the long run. I didn't, in my head, I wanted it to be a technical document, but I didn't tell Copilot that. So it came out very generic, kind of setting that tone of, this is, I want this to be casual. I want it to be more formal, whatever your case might be. Letting the system actually know those kind of things ahead of time does help. Okay. The iteration and the refinement, can't say enough about the refinement part of this because we can't expect perfection on the first try. Iteration, refinement, those are going to be key, especially for complex reports or communications that you're doing. Make sure you're adjusting your prompts and regenerating until you get the output that really is going to meet the standards that you need. Whether you're doing this directly in Outlook, you're doing it in Microsoft Word, whatever your case might be. Okay. We really want to make sure that we're putting them in correctly. So let me give you an example of what I was just referring to. And by the way, there's a ton of different examples you can try. If you go into the handout that you were sent, just to give you an idea. If I'm in Outlook, because Microsoft has made changes to Copilot recently. They now have Copilot available, of course, from the home tab of the ribbon in every particular application. But the way that Copilot works in some of these applications is a little bit different than what we had a few months back. So let me explain. I'm in Outlook, and if I want to use Copilot here in Outlook, and I want it to help me write an email or whatever it is I want it to do, one way to use it is to go to a new email. When you create a new email, you're going to get draft with Copilot. So over here in my reading pane, if I click my Copilot icon, it's going to give me a menu of choices. So here's some suggested prompts: short and friendly message, request information. I want to give an update. I want to do an announcement. I wanted to create a newsletter, or I could go into customized drafts. If I just come in and I say short and friendly message, well, it's giving us placeholders. Write a short and friendly message about, then we have to give it the outline and the key points about what exactly it is that we want it to write. And I'm going to say about the meeting yesterday on SharePoint. Just to give you an idea, if I just put something generic in there, I'm not really giving it all the detail that it requires. I'm not saying, who is this going to? How do we want to address them? Those kind of things. I said, keep it friendly, which it did. I hope this email finds you all well. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for your participation in yesterday's meeting on SharePoint. It doesn't really have a lot of context to it. If I wanted to talk about what we did in that meeting, I could actually tell Copilot to do that. So now I don't really have a meeting like that, but just so you know, you want to give it more. This is just one way to get started. Now that automatically puts the content directly in the email itself. I could say make it longer, make it shorter, whatever else I wanted to change, maybe add a little professional tone, address it to the team, to the accounting department. You could have Copilot change those kind of things. But as soon as it comes back, so I said make it a little bit longer. I probably still didn't give it everything that I really want in the email, but let's say I decide to keep it. So from my menu, I can just click keep it. It's going to give me that entire message. Do I stop here? No. I take Copilot a little bit further. Let me show you what I mean. Here in Outlook, if I go to my Copilot icon on the home tab of the ribbon, there's a down arrow. From that down arrow, you have a feature called coaching. This to me has saved me on sending out emails that weren't very appropriate, that I didn't really think about, or, I wrote it, so I'm not reading it based on the reader's sentiment. What this coaching can do is analyze your email that you wrote, whether Copilot wrote it or you wrote it, which I write a lot of my own emails, and then I use Copilot coaching to help me with it. So what it's going to do is look at the tone of the email. It's going to look at the reader's sentiment and the clarity. So this is helping with that prompt engineering. So built in to Outlook, it can actually help with your prompts, with getting things narrowed down to exactly what it is that you really need. So anyway, it says maintain warm, upbeat style. It's got engage, encourage continued participation gently, specify actionable next items. So if I say, you know what, I want you to apply all those suggestions, it will go ahead and change my email to apply the suggestions that it actually gave me within that coach. So if I decide, yep, I want to replace it with that, I click replace and I'm ready to go. So I still have to go back and kind of read through it and say, okay, this isn't how I personally would say this, or this isn't how our company wants us to say this. You're still going to want to tweak it, but this saves me so much time and headache, because sometimes I just don't read it the way that the recipient is going to read it. So having that coaching is great. But let me give you another idea of using Copilot here in Outlook when it comes to that prompt engineering. So if I actually go to the Copilot icon from the Home tab of the ribbon, it opens up Copilot. And just so you're aware, it's actually using the Copilot app. So it looks and works like the Copilot app does if you go online. So at the top, I've got two icons. One is going to be work related, one is going to be web related. So when we chat with the system, we are doing it based on either our work account, our 365 account that we're logged in as, or it's going to go to the web. So right now I'm on work. So my prompt suggestions down at the bottom are which unread emails need replies? What quick wins can I clear right now? What matters most in my inbox today? So it's giving me suggested prompts that can help me to look over my email messages because I'm in Outlook. So if I click on what matters, it's going to add to this, just so you could see. It added scan my entire inbox for today and show me what deserves my attention first. Now, of course, if I wanted to modify any of this before sending it, I most certainly can. But what it's giving us is a good prompt. So it took that short little prompt suggestion and really refined it. It made it more clear. If you look at this, it says scan my entire inbox for today and show me what deserves my attention first. Identify the 5 emails that matter most based on importance, urgency, sender, and relevance to my goals. It's getting more and more detail, but we didn't have to write all of that. The suggested prompt knows prompt engineering, and it added detail to it. Now, of course, if I wanted to change it, because I'm not really saying what my goals are, I'm not stating, what is important to me or whose emails are important to me, I could add that detail in. So we can take what they give us and then just tweak it a little bit. So Copilot is really advanced on being able to help us with our prompt engineering. So we don't have to do as much work as we used to have to do before, because before it would just give us a little tidbit. Now it's refining it itself. Okay. So anyway, it came back and it says I found 8 emails based on today, the importance, urgency, etc. So it's got this SharePoint training times. It's got this final call, top actions that's ending soon, making mega projects successful. It's giving me my 5 emails, which is the detail that I gave it. So it says safe to ignore or delegate entirely. It's giving me a category for that as well. So these are emails that aren't really as relevant. They put those in a different category. So this makes my life so much easier to be able to have these things directly available within Copilot. Now, what if I'm actually using Microsoft Word? I'm going to go into a blank document in Microsoft Word. Let me share that on my screen here. You will have, of course, Copilot readily available when you come into a blank new document. It will be up at the top. So it's basically asking, what do you want Copilot to draft? So what if I wanted to do a summary of a specific document? I don't have the document open, which we don't have to. We don't have to have the document open, but should I include it first? If we think back a few slides ago where we were talking about the order that we do things in, we do want things to be in a specific order. So I'm going to click the plus sign, tell it which file I want it to look at. And I'm going to do the one for the handout today, this prompt engineering. So now it's going to look at that file. It knows to do that. Now I'm going to give it the detail to what it is that I want. So I'm going to give it the action I want it to do. I want it to write a summary based on this prompt engineering file that can be given to the executive leaders at ABC Company. for their annual review. Just to show you, you want to give it more instead of less, because like I said, it cannot read our minds. Although I still sometimes think it can, I swear sometimes it can, it really does not. Now, did I give it enough detail? Well, I told it which document I wanted it to look at. I put in a few options, but what I didn't tell it was how long or short did I want this to be? I just said create a summary. What else could I have done? Well, I could have said make this number of words or make it one page, provide a few bullet points. I could say, write it in this particular fashion. I didn't really give it enough detail. I thought I did, but now that it generated the result, I really didn't give it enough instruction. So do I keep it or do I go back and redo it? Well, I'm going to say delete it. I'm going to say delete it. Let me show you a different way of doing that. I'm going to go into the Copilot app on the right-hand side from the Home tab of the ribbon. It, of course, does give us suggested prompts. So help me brainstorm an idea, suggest an engaging title, blah, blah, blah. It is on work. So just so you could see, the Copilot window looks just like with Outlook. You get work and you get web at the top. I'm on work. And I wanted to actually look at a file. So I'm going to add that content first. So I'm going to say add work content. I'm going to tell it to look at my prompt engineering Word document. And this time I'm going to say, write a one-page summary of this prompt engineering file to share with my executive leaders for the year-end presentation. Include action items that are relevant. Just so you could see, I gave it a little bit more detail. And I make this mistake a lot in PowerPoint because in PowerPoint, it will take a document and it can generate a presentation. But I usually end up with 35, 40 slides, depending on the length of the document I'm having it look at. If you only want 5 slides, 2 slides, whatever, and you don't need certain things added in, I could say using pages 1 through 5. I didn't need the rest of the document. We could state that detail, and Copilot will look just at pages 1 through 5. So you want to give it a better prompt so that you get a better result in the end. So anyway, this is what it ended up coming back with, all of that detail. I could, of course, copy that, but because I wasn't using it directly in the document, it didn't place it in the document because technically I didn't tell it to. Now that did become more than one page. So I would or should go back and say, make this shorter. So I have to go back and refine it. Because of the fact that I wasn't doing it directly in the document, it didn't understand the fitting of it. So just so you could see, some formatting would of course change that as well. Still probably wouldn't get me down to just one page, but it did rewrite it. It made it shorter. I don't always want things to be a full page. If I just want 2 paragraphs, I could even say 2 short paragraphs, or just say, I want 3 bulleted items. You want to give it that clear action. Don't forget to be adding in the role or the audience as well, though. That can be key. Okay. So prompt engineering really does matter. When we talk about how it can empower what our requests are that we're asking the system to do, we want it to be high quality results that we're getting back out. This is not only going to help you save time, but it does help speed up decision making. It improves communication and really helps you to streamline workflows, really giving you more time in the end, less headaches. Because if you're like me, I use Copilot every day. I use it all day long. As a matter of fact, when I log in, I open up Outlook, I open up Teams, and I open my Copilot app. So I have those three open all day long, whether I'm going to having it look at the web and, look up some information for me, or I'm having it look for information inside my Microsoft 365 account. I do this all day long, but I used to waste a lot of time. So we want to stop and really consider changing the way that we really talk with our systems. So we want to also, in the backside of things, understand AI better. What are the actual behaviors of AI? How is it interpreting the prompts that we're giving it? So it's going to recognize patterns. It doesn't recognize meaning, and it works best the clearer the instructions are. It can assist, but it cannot replace experts. And iteration is often needed to make sure that the result we're getting out is quality. So sometimes it is going to take more than one try. And I still do that. I'm trying to get it down to one or two, but watch the suggested prompts that come back from Copilot. Once it does the first run of what it is you chatted with it, look at the suggested prompts, because those suggested prompts, which are getting better, it's getting smarter, it's doing deeper reasoning. It's amazing what it's actually doing in the background. But the thing to think about is when we do this first try, the prompts that you're going to get back are suggestions of things that it can do further. Sometimes that helps you to know, oh, I didn't even think about this, or oh yeah, I should have actually put that in there. So it understands to go a little bit deeper. So always look for those other suggested prompts along the way. Okay. So if you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to help you with those. But I think today we've kind of gone through what effective prompt engineering really looks like, really to make sure that you can unlock that full potential of what Microsoft Copilot 365 has to offer. So when I was just referring to the app itself, when I was saying, look at those suggested prompts, you're seeing these at the bottom. Every time you're prompting it, you're seeing those at the bottom. Read through those. They're there for a reason, and they're there to help you. Keep experimenting. Refine the prompt that you put in. Like I said, you're not always going to get it perfect the first go around. But I have learned that these prompt suggestions, I learn from them to really do better prompting the next time. Okay, so watch for those. Where this one was telling me, use a formal and professional tone, include statistics on adoption rates, add a call to action for business. If we choose any of those, it enters it automatically. Then we just send it to the system. It's going to refine what it is that it originally had wrote to include that additional prompt option. So those to me have been extremely helpful. So just know that it may take one or two tries, but the better you do on your first go around, the better you'll be in the end. Use clarity, context, and really be specific. Give it the role, give it the full structure. Think about how you're organizing your entry of that prompt. Okay. So, Macy, let's see. Did anybody have any questions they wanted to ask today?
We do
wanted to
not
leave
have
some
any,
time.
I was gonna say, we do not have any currently in the Q&A box, but if anybody has any that they would like Jill Lynn to answer, if you want to go ahead and drop those, we still have a couple minutes left that she'd be happy to answer them.
Absolutely. So when we think about using Copilot, no matter which application you're using it in, prompt engineering is going to be important, not just in the app, but if you're in Excel, if you're in PowerPoint, you're in Word, especially I've learned with PowerPoint. I'm going to tell it I only want these number of slides because otherwise I'm always having to go back and I just wasted time. Okay.
It looks like we do not have any coming in, any questions. So Jill Lynn, I
Okay.
think that we can go ahead and wrap up.
Sounds good.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. We will be coming with new 2026 webinars. So we are in the works of picking out the best ones that are going to reach you guys and give you the most information that's the most beneficial for you. So we have not set all of those dates for 2026 quite yet, but we will be doing that soon. And as soon as we have those, we will get the registration out to you via email, just like we have done with the ones in the past. So stay tuned for that. We do know that our next topic will be on Power Automate, and we are just finalizing the date for that one. So stay tuned on the registration for that as well. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to follow up with myself or our office. The phone number is listed here, but my email was on the registration email that you guys received yesterday. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any follow-up questions or if there's anything that we can help you with. And we will be sending you guys the recording of today's session tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Actually, Jolyn, it looks like a question just came through. So before we wrap up,
Okay.
we can go ahead and answer this. So she would like to know if she has the same task repeated daily and rules/instructions that go with the task repeatedly. How can I get AI to remember the rules without running out of memory?
Well, one of the things that